Sup, nerds? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Siler, and welcome to my channel. Today, I am here in the Fortress of Solitude to talk about the Man of Steel himself, Superman. With the upcoming release of James Gunn's Superman coming out on July 11th, I thought it would be really fun to watch every iteration of the live-action Superman. To do this, I watched every single live-action Superman I could find, going from the TV to the silver screen. I'm going to take you on a journey through this history, and at the very end, I'm going to give you my opinion of who I think is the best live action Superman. So stick around. Kirk Alyn, 1948 to 1950. Kirk Alyn, born October 8th, 1910, is best known for the first actor to play Superman in live action. He starred as the Man of Steel in the 1948 movie Superman. It follows the mostly known storyline that Superman was sent to Earth after Krypton's destruction and was found by humans who raised him. When they died, he went to Metropolis to become a reporter to stay close to the news. Kirk Alyn was one I was never really familiar with, so it was super chill to watch that and kind of see where it all began. While he was the first one to do Superman, this was not the first attempt to do this. It was attempted in 1940 by Republic Pictures. However, licensing negotiations with Superman publisher National Comics failed, so it never came to be. Kirk was found after his photo was found by Sam Katzman, who was the producer on the first film. Being that this was 1948, it was not going to be easy to achieve the special effects, especially when it came to flying. They initially tried suspending Alyn by the wires and have a rear projection of moving cloud. He was displeased with these results, which led to the firing of the entire flight sequence production staff. They opted to use cartoon animation instead. Now, I found this very interesting and unique in terms of other films. Since this was so long before CGI, this was a very cool way to do it. It allowed them to create quick and fluid movements for Superman flying around in the sky. Of course, to make this work, they only showed the flight sequences from a distance, so you didn't get a good view of it. They would film his takeoffs and quickly cut to the animated sequence. For landings, though, they would show him landing behind objects and have Alyn walk out from behind it and into frame, giving the illusion of flight. I really thought this was cool in watching it. I was like audibly like, okay, I see you, I see you. Allen reprised his role in Adam Man vs. Superman in 1950 as well. We almost got more of him in the iconic suit, but I will go into more of that later. George Reeves, 1952 to 1958. George Reeves, born January 5th, 1914, is the second actor to take on this iconic role. He played the role in the TV show Adventures of Superman, which ran from 1952 to 1958. While it was initially filmed in black and white, they did switch filming into color from seasons 3 to 6, but were still aired in black and white until 1965 when they first debuted in color. This iteration of Superman is a bit different. For starters, no iconic villains or foes from the comic appear in the show, like at all. He was usually just fighting crooks, gangsters, and other villains, so don't expect to see Lex Luthor leading the charge from the villain side in this series. Now, this show, like the movie starring Kirk Alyn, are super campy. Like, we're talking rats kind of cheese. But at the time of the release, I can see why they did it that way. The violence was very light and even got toned down in later seasons because they thought it was too graphic for TV. I was really hoping to see Superman toss a motherfucker off a roof and have him break like a leg or something. This show was so popular though that it even got a crossover with I Love Lucy, which is just insane to think about. Like, imagine Lucy going on about her day and seeing like a Superman villain start murdering people in the street. Like, I would watch the fuck out of that though. George almost left the show after 2 seasons, though. This was due to his low wage, the one dimensional characteristics of Superman, and how playing Superman ruined his credibility as a dramatic actor. Sadly, George Reeves died on June 16th, 1959, from a gunshot wound to the head in his home at the age of 45. His death is still controversial to this day, as it was ruled to be self-inflicted, but people still believe he could have been murdered or a victim of an accidental shooting. His legacy lives on as he is celebrated for the role of Superman. I definitely recommend learning more about his life because it is a pretty interesting story, and, it's show the man some respect, all right? Christopher Reeve, 1978 to 1987. Now we're on to what most people would say is the most iconic actor to ever play the role of Superman, which is honestly really fair as you bring up Superman, he's usually the first one people think of. Christopher Reeve was born September 25th, 1952. He was originally a stage actor, making his Broadway debut in 1976. His breakthrough on stage is what led him to get the role of Superman for the first film released in 1978. These films, at least the first two, are still heralded as the pinnacle and most influential of the character. These movies are gonna stand the test of time. While the special effects and overall goofiness of the story are kind of a bit dated, I still think they're tip top. I know they kind of went off the deep end and started getting more ridiculous after the second movie, but I still love these original films. For me, Christopher Reeve just embodied the look and charm of Superman while still bringing that goofy and nerdy Clark Kent into the mix. Like, the dude radiated Riz in the highest form. When he was portraying Clark, just the way he handled himself made it believable that people would not suspect Clark as Superman. The constantly adjusting his glasses, the way he made it naturally look to be a fumbling idiot was just fantastic. He showed the world that a man can fly, and it gives off hope. Like, it really gives you, like, it hits you right here. It hits you right here. Even if it is just a movie, it gives me goosebumps to this day just watching this movie. Even with his accident that left him paralyzed in 1995, he still remains a big voice for human rights causes and was a big activist. Tragically, he passed away in 2004 from heart failure. I definitely think you should watch Superman the Christopher Reeve story, as it goes into much more detail about his life and time as Superman than I have, and trust me, it is a great watch. Dean Cain, 1993 to 1997. Now we have the return of Superman to the small screen, Mr. Dean fucking Cain. Now, I remember watching this show as it was airing as a kid. So behind Christopher Reeves, when I hear like Superman, he comes to mind. Like, he always does. I'm always like, yeah, fucking Dean Cain played Superman, man. Dean Cain, born July 31st, 1966. He took on the role for the show for Lois and Clark. This brought back the classic story of Jonathan and Martha Kent seeing Clark crash land in Smallville and take him in as their own. The show begins when 27-year-old Clark moves to Metropolis and joins the Daily Planet. He becomes cornered at the difficulty of using his powers to help people, and we see him come up with the idea for a costume, and he becomes Superman. I like the idea of coming up with the costume and slowly becoming Superman instead of showing up in the costume after being in the fortress for a long time like it was in the Christopher Reeves movies. And the sequence of him and his parents coming up with the costumes and making them and trying different ones is really funny to watch. It's on YouTube. It's really goofy, but like in the best kind of way. So I definitely recommend just kind of checking that out because it's pretty funny. The show is also super cheesy, and the costume looks like he's wearing a very soft set of pajamas, which honestly take my money because I'd wear the hell out of them. Like, they look awesome, and the dude looks good in them. Like, Dean Cain definitely had the Superman look to him. He looked good as Superman and Clark Kent. He was charming and kind and definitely gives off the vibe like he is a do-gooder, here to help with humanity. Despite the silliness of the show, I think this fact makes it super enjoyable to watch, even with it being pretty dated now. The show ran for 4 seasons and concluded in 1997, which also ended on a cliffhanger since it was canceled before the 5th season could be made. If you ever want to watch a fun and enjoyable Superman show, I definitely think you should watch it. It is really goofy and gets pretty ridiculous at times, but like, just have fun with it. Just enjoy it. Even just to enjoy the progression of Superman throughout the years like I did. Tom Welling, 2001 to 2011. This is my shit right here. I am a huge fan of Smallville, and I have watched it start to finish more times than I should even admit. I'm pretty pumped to finally gush about it a little bit here. But first, let's go into a little bit about the show before I fangirl too much. Tom Welling, born April 26, 1977, was cast in Smallville after a nationwide search for an actor to play Clark Kent. While he had some roles and was well received in his roles before Smallville, Clark is definitely his biggest, and for damn good reason. He also told he got it the same day as his audition. It was on the WB with 8.4 million viewers. It's not a bad little start, and you know, considering the Superman that had come before him, like, I think that's a good little jumping off point. This made Tom a breakout star, and he would win several awards over the years for his portrayal as Clark. I love this take on Superman because it definitely doesn't try to propel him to become Superman like as soon as possible, and slowly makes the eventual journey to becoming the Man of Steel. I can't even deny that a lot of the time this show is super corny. Even the first few seasons, like especially while they're in high school, but there are moments that really propel the show to be as good as it is. The chemistry and bond between Clark and Lex Luthor is just incredible. They're like brothers at first, and you see the descent into becoming each other's greatest enemies, and it just, it's heartbreaking. It makes you feel bad for Lex Luthor. This definitely comes from Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum's chemistry as actors and actual friends. They're still good friends to this very day. Definitely watch their Watchville podcast if you want more in-depth kind of behind the scenes tidbits about Superman and their time on Smallville, because it's really good, and they have lots of actors who are on the show come in and talk about it. It's really cool. I watch it all the time. The show really kicks off into high gear though when they graduate from high school. In my opinion, this is when the show goes from pretty good to fucking great. The entire dynamic and storylines of the show change. It becomes like bigger. You know what I mean? Like it's not just, small monsters of the week kind of thing. I mean, it continues that, but it does progress the story to him becoming Superman, and I think that's really fucking cool. It does make the path to becoming Superman and why Clark does the things he does, why he thinks the way he does, very clear. And I think that is something that it excels at like tremendously. In the Reeves films, it skips from him being 18 to 30, and you miss all the trials and training and him learning his powers. I know they didn't have time to show this in those movies, so I'm happy we finally got to see this progress as it should in a natural line rather than just like he's Superman. Also, a little fact that I do enjoy that I think is worth pointing out here is that Christopher Reeve himself showed up on the show and was the one to reveal Clark's Kryptonian heritage and kind of explain where he's from and a little bit of backstory about Krypton and what happens. And it's just, oh, it's so good. It was so good to see him, and it was just so cool that he came on for a couple episodes and was the guy. He was the fucking guy. The show went on for 10 seasons. Yeah, boy. And in the series finale, we finally see Clark become Superman and get his iconic suit to fly in and save the day from Apocalypse colliding with Earth from Darkseid. All I could do during that finale, when he got the suit and started flying away, putting it on, is scream my lungs out saying, yes, 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 while jumping out of my chair. It was such a beautiful end to the show, and it made the 10-season journey to that point worth it. It also pulled my heartstrings to see a glimpse of his future in the CW crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths from the Arrowverse, where he reprises the role of Clark. We see him and Lois married, still played by Erica Durance, still on the same farm from Smallville, and it turns out he gave up his powers after years of being Superman to have his family with Lois and raise his children. What a fucking sweetheart. If you haven't watched Smallville yet, what are you doing? Go on. Press pause, come back after 10 seasons. Go! Brandon Routh, 2006. This one I feel doesn't get enough love and appreciation. This is mostly due to how the film turned out and wasn't anything special in terms of storyline, but his portrayal of Superman is definitely noteworthy. Brandon Routh was born October 9th, 1979, and is an American actor who's best known for playing Superman in Superman Returns, as well as Ray Palmer in The Arrow. He also had recurring roles in Chuck, the soap opera One Life to Live, and the cult classic Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where he played one of Ramona's evil exes. Watching this movie, you can clearly see why he was cast in it. He highly resembles Christopher Reeve, and since this was a continuation of the Superman series, it takes place after Superman 2, but it ignores 3 and 4 because, let's face it, Why wouldn't it? This was not a good movie by any means, but I do think it has its charm and definitely has some good things in it that you can't deny were awesome. First off, I liked Brandon as Superman. He's got the look for Superman. He is good for Clark Kent. He's very like goofy and bumbly, but like charming. I like him as Superman and Clark Kent. He's got the acting chops to pull off both very well. And honestly, he looks pretty good in this suit. It's a very much updated version of the Christopher Reeve suit. But I think it looks great. Like for that classic look, I think it's one of the best looking ones because it's not just old cloth, leotard kind of spandex. It looks good. There's also decent performances from Kate Bosworth, who plays Lois Lane, and James Marsden, who plays her husband and father of Lois's child. At least that's what we thought at first. I actually really enjoyed Sam Huntington as Jimmy Olsen as well. He had like the comedic chops and kind of goofiness that Jimmy Olsen has while making it not too campy. And I loved it. It was super fucking great. He was super charming as that. I would have loved to see more of him as that. A couple of really cool scenes that I think stand out and kind of save the film, making it kind of watchable, are the initial scene where he shows back up as Superman after being gone from Earth for so long, and he ends up saving a crashing airplane that is carrying Lois, and he lands it in a stadium. I'm gonna post some clips of it while this is playing, but it's a really cool sequence, and I think regardless of what you think about this movie, I think you can appreciate that scene. The other one that stands out is when he's responding to a robbery and the criminals are shooting a fucking chain gun at the police and they turn it on Superman and the bullets are just bouncing off of him. Then one of the goons like pulls a pistol out and shoots Superman in the face and it just bounces off his eyeball. The only thing that sucks about this is that they showed it in the initial trailer, so it kind of ruined the fucking cool surprise of that scene happening, but it was still cool nonetheless. I think Brandon got dealt a bad hand with the script, but his casting was a great choice. I think a big thing that doomed this was that Superman doesn't actually fight or even punch somebody like at all. Not once this entire movie. Let this man beat someone up. Like let him just fucking smack somebody around for a little bit. Damn. He also got to return to the role in the Arrowverse crossover as well for Crisis on Infinite Earths, where he had like a Kingdom Come Superman thing kind of going on and fights Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. And the suit he's wearing in that is fucking awesome. Like it looks really good. I really liked how it turned out. Henry Cavill, 2013 to 2023. Now, this is one that most people definitely know since he's one of the more recent ones and probably the most memorable in recent history. Henry Cavill was born May 5th, 1983, and is a British actor best known for his roles as Superman and Geralt from Netflix's series The Witcher. He first premiered as Superman in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel in 2013, launching the DCEU that definitely had mixed reviews from critics and fans alike. However, it was still a massive success, bringing in about $670 million worldwide. So it didn't do bad by any means. I know a lot of people have their problems with that movie, but I don't think it deserves all the hate it gets. It's by no means a perfect movie, but I definitely still enjoy it to this day and put it on from time to time. I think they learned their mistake that they made with Superman Returns, and that Superman gets to fight more than one Kryptonian that leads to some epic battles just all across the state. Plus, having Michael Shannon play General Zod across from him was a good choice, as the rivalry and differences really sell the point that Superman is a force for good. I think Cavill's portrayal and look for Superman were definitely good casting. I remember seeing this in the theater and really digging it. Now, the DCEU went down in quality over time, but as the first entry into that universe, I fuck with it. One of the things I definitely don't like is more of a nitpick with the suit a little bit. I dig the aesthetic and design choice for it. I'm glad they didn't include the red trunks on it because I think it would have ruined it even more. I hate that it's shiny and looks wet though. It also comes across very dark a lot of the time, so you can't even tell it's like a blue costume. It kind of looks like a gray kind of thing. Get rid of those two things and I'd be a lot happier with it. The updated S logo is pretty cool in my opinion. I think it, took something that was already there and recognizable and just updated it for a whole new universe and a whole new generation, which, I think it looks good. I have no problems with that. Cavill then followed this up several more movies, including Batman vs Superman, Justice League, the original, and Snyder Cut. Side note: the Snyder Cut of Justice League was a hell of a lot better, and I'm glad it got released. And ended with a brief post-credit scene in Black Adam, but this never amounted to anything because right after this, the DCEU was killed off to start the reboot process of those characters in James Gunn's new DCU. I definitely don't blame his casting and performance as Superman to be a negative one. I think I would have made some differences in the story, especially in Man of Steel. Overall, though, I enjoyed the Cavill experience. I would have liked to see him more, to be honest, especially in a solo film or a proper Justice League follow-up that wasn't terrible. But we'll never get to see it. Tyler Hoechlin, 2016 to 2024. And finally, we have our last entry in this video. Tyler Hoechlin, born September 11th, 1987, is an American actor that is best known for his roles as Superman in Superman and Lois, Teen Wolf, Seventh Heaven, and other shows within the Arrowverse that he did some guest spots on. Hoechlin first premiered as Superman on the second season of Supergirl, which had just made the move to CW after initially being canceled. The reception to his performance, though, was highly received, and then he returned to the role later on in the season for a few more episodes. After that, he got invited to join the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, playing alongside all the other characters and heroes in that universe. Then finally, after that, this led to the start of Superman and Lois airing in 2021 and was hella well received. I love Tyler as Superman as well as Clark Kent. One thing to point out about the show is that it does what a lot of versions didn't quite explore as much, which is the daily life of Superman and Clark Kent, as well as his kids and wife Lois. In this universe, he has two sons, Jonathan and Jordan, who are in high school. After the death of Ma Kent, the family moves from Smallville from Metropolis to take over the family farm and start over a new life. We see him coach football and honestly just being a goofy, geeky father, and he pulls this off beautifully. The man has acting chops, definitely, to pull off all the emotions and does it with such pizzazz that sometimes you forget this man is Superman. He's just a chill guy. This show had a huge budget too, for considering TV and what the other Arrowverse shows got, of $5 million an episode, which you can see in the actual quality of the production because the cinematography and special effects look pretty fucking good, like especially for CW. Like, it just looks incredible. It's just a beautiful show to look at. We see Superman face off against a bunch of villains throughout the series, including but not limited to Doomsday, John Henry Irons, Bruno Mannheim, and Lex Luthor, all of which provide great performances respectfully. Except for Doomsday, he's more of a beast that comes from Bizarro, so, I mean, how can he act that well? You know what I mean? Like, for me, this show is something I'm definitely going to go back and watch again. While it only got 4 seasons, they were very memorable. It wasn't just a villain of the week kind of show. We saw season-long storylines that evolved naturally and didn't feel rushed. We also see more of Clark's humanity, in the sense where we see him scared, stressed, sad, and loses that hope that we always see from Superman. If you haven't watched this show, you need to. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. It's fucking great and great. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. This is my choice for my favorite rendition of Superman. And the winner is Tyler Hoechlin. I think his version best covers the complete experience of being Superman. We see him vulnerable and scared, and this isn't just physically. We see the parts of that make him human come out when they aren't even the best sides of him. We see him angry and even be kind of a dick sometimes, and to even be proven wrong. Showing that Superman isn't always right at first. He lets his human side dictate his reaction to some situations, and honestly, it makes me feel better about myself. Like, even Superman can feel this way and make mistakes. That alone gives me hope for myself and my own life. There's a really great moment near the end of this series, which just feels so special. I'm going to reference it in a moment. So if you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead a little bit or watch it. I'm not your mom, all right? When he reveals to the world that Clark Kent is Superman, it has a huge impact in Smallville and even the rest of the world. While most of the people close to him already knew, somebody was shooting into a diner in Smallville, and to protect them, he just steps out into the light, reveals his costume in front of a whole crowd of people, revealing that he's Clark Kent, and he saves somebody's life while doing it. And then later on, we can see him doing a TV interview to tell the rest of the world that Clark Kent is Superman. It's something we don't ever really see in any Superman reiterations, you know what I mean? It's seriously an incredible experience, and I'm happy we got to see it finally. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was a super fun one to make. If there's any other characters you'd like me to do a video on or a deep dive into, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to check in soon because I will be doing a review and my thoughts on the new Superman movie once it premieres next week. So make sure to come back to the channel and check it out and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching and stay nerdy, my friends.